What's up? What's up? What's up? What's up? What's up? What's up, peoples? How everybody doing out there? I want to say, uh, the Knicks fans. I'm very proud of y'all. Well, my bad, my bad, my fucking bad. I'm not proud of you. I'm happy for you because you finally got a team. A team, which y'all had some great teams, but now y'all giving it to the damn Spurs right now. Y'all up 2-0. You're coming back to the Garden tonight on the brink of going up 3-0 and possibly, maybe even sweeping the Spurs and claiming that NBA crown for the first time in 53 years at home in the Garden. I know that would be special. I know the city's off the chain up there. I already know, so but hey, it's still some more ball to be played. I don't think the Spurs gonna roll over. No, they too good of a team. You know, Wemby has been a different beast going up against the Cat. Cat is a big man who you have to he's making Wemby play out on that perimeter, and that's really been the difference in this whole first two games. Him being able to come out on the perimeter, put the ball on the floor. Wemby has to guard him, so he don't have to just lay back and protect that basket. He has to come out and do a little more. In the other series, and also the combo of Mitchell Robinson as well as Karl Anthony Towns, strength-wise, they're giving him a little more trouble on the glass than he had with any other center power forward combination in the series before. Hence, what's the guy? Chet Holmgren and Hartenstein of the Thunder. They, to me, a lot of people say, Chet took a lot of heat for that. Him being a slender man for his for Wemby kind of, I don't want to say having his way with him, but the way he looked against Wemby in that series, he's taking a lot of heat for that. Folks been saying, "Oh, they need to trade Chet." Don't y'all do that, Thunder? I would not do that to Thunder. That was one series y'all did have a chance to win that series. Yeah, he got outplayed by Wemby. No, he did not have a good series, but he's still an effective. I don't even want to call him a center, power forward, center, whatever. Big man. I'm gonna just say big man / little man because he only weighs about $103. But that's neither here nor there. Maybe getting hit that weight room this summer, he'll come back a little stronger. But no, the idea of him being traded from the Thunder, unless of course they were going to get Giannis, that would be different. Another guy that size, but bigger and stronger and more effective away from the basket. That would be the only person I would trade Chet Holmgren for. Now, if they can somehow get that in a Holmgren deal, cool. I can accept that. And he'll still be right there in the hunt. But to go out and trade one of the best defensive players in the league over one series, bad series, no, I think that would be a mistake. And they had already won a championship. So, it was more than Wemby giving it to the Thunder than anything else. You also had Fox was playing great. Castle had a great series. Champagne, those guys. But in the meantime, now they're up against a different beast. The Knicks are rolling, haven't lost since game 3 of the Atlanta Hawks series in the semifinals, East semifinals. Now they're strutting their stuff now, and they really playing on a high level and got the city, the Big Apple, in a frenzy. The Big Apple is they ready to sauce it up. They ready for applesauce now. I'm so happy for those guys, and I'm rooting for them, but I don't really have a rooting interest here nor there because I'm a big Spurs fan. Well, I'm a big De'Aaron Fox fan and Cowser fan. I like those guys too. You know, I, it's still some games to be played. We'll see. Tonight is actually game 3. We'll see the outcome of this. They can win one game and then come game 4, that's another game. They can actually get both of these games. They can actually get all 4 games the Spurs can. So it's a lot left. We're not gonna hand the Knicks anything yet, but tonight, game 3, that first finals game in the Garden in 30 years. Oh, it's gonna be rocking. Oh man, I know it's gonna be rocking. Shout out to all the Knicks fans. Y'all go out there and have fun. Word on the street, there may be one. I'm not gonna say unwanted guest, but one fan in particular I wish would stay home, watch the game elsewhere, and that would be your president, United States President Donald Trump. Not to say he shouldn't go and watch the game. He's a fan. He has a right to be a fan, but that's kind of drawing too much attention to himself, which is what his presidency has been all about from the first term until now. Here, the midway point of this term, going into the midway point, is he hadn't been seen at any of these playoff games that the Knicks been on this run. Hadn't said anything about it. They just been on a run. Now all of a sudden, the first game in 30 years at the Garden, he wants to come in, draw all the attention. Having the I don't know the situation exactly up there. I'm not from New York. I'm not in New York right now. But of course, there's gonna be all this security. They've been partying up there around the Garden all this time. So now I'm hearing all these things is canceled because he's there. So it's taking away a little bit of the camaraderie. It's kind of, to me, if I was one of those fans up there in New York who had been cheering this whole time outside the Garden, game parties, ripping and roaring and showing my ass, cheering my team on, I would have a problem with that. Yeah, sure. He, even though he's the president of the United States, yeah, sure, he has the right to attend the game. But come sometimes, just take a back seat to this one, Mr. President. Take a back seat. I'm not gonna shit on you today. That's not where I'm at. This is not really a political platform that I'm using because I don't really get into politics. I'm just gonna leave it at that. I may have certain opinions, that may lean toward, being political, but I don't really get into that. I consider myself as politically incorrect because I may say some crazy ass shit that rub somebody the wrong way, and that's not my intent. We're all individuals. I have love for all people. It don't matter. If you want to do this, if you want to go out there and show your ass, that's on you. Show your motherfucking ass. It's yours, goddamn. That's you. Show your ass. But anyway, I'm looking forward to the game 3 tonight. Knicks and Spurs. Shoot, boy. I just know that Garden crowd, they're gonna be rocking. All them guys sitting in the front row. I don't know exactly the effect the president's attendance going to have on that. But it is usually a star-studded event anyway with a Spike. He's outspoken about the president. I'm interested to see his reaction and what he would say come post game or whatever. I want to keep an eye on Spike. Spike Lee tonight. Fat Joe's always there. I mean, it's always star-studded. So it's going to be interesting. But the game itself, Jalen Brunson, Cat, De'Aaron Fox. Like I said, I'm a big fan of De'Aaron Fox, who wasn't he didn't have a good playoff series against the Thunder, and in that game 1 against the Knicks, the game 2, he really came and brought it for a while. He cooled down a little bit in the fourth quarter, but he really stepped it up. And, like I'm looking forward to him to even continuing to have a good game moving forward, as well as Castle. I'm a big fan of Stephon Castle. He didn't have a good game last game, but he's a young pup. This team is young. That's the thing. That's everybody's so surprised about. This team is so young, and they said, well, everybody said, well, they're gonna be back, whatever, when we be back. Don't just assume that. Don't just assume they're gonna be back. There's been countless Hall of Famers in all types of different sports. Went to the finals and title games early in their career, and they would say, yeah. They be back. They young. They be back. Didn't happen. But Castle and also Dylan Harper, Ron Harper's son. Oh man, boy, he's balling also. I say, I'm telling you this now, America. Dylan Harper, De'Aaron Fox, and Stephon Castle. That's the best guard trio I've seen since the microwave Isaiah Thomas and Joe Dumars. I said that before these finals started. I said that during the year at times. But I feel that way. Stephon Castle, De'Aaron Fox, and Dylan Harper. That's the best guard trio since Joe Dumars, the microwave, and Isaiah Thomas. Boom. It's right there for me to say. This is receipt. Boom, boom, boom. Like it, dislike, whatever. Kiss my ass, whatever the fuck. I said it. I'm saying it right here. Believe that. Also, I want to, in a somber note, I want to say give a RIP out for the great Stacey King. He played with the Chicago Bulls. He was on that, I think, the first 3-time run of the Bulls, their first championship with Jordan. He played a big part in that. Let's not forget, it wasn't all just Jordan and Pippen. He wasn't no big time scorer, but he gave big time minutes. With some of his rebounding and defensive play. He was kind of like the heart and soul. This was before Rodman was there. That first time, they had Horace Grant. He backed him up. See, we forget about those other guys, the Will Purdue's and the Bill Cartwright, the Stacey Kings, and we just want to write them off. But those guys, were very much a part of helping Jordan get those rings. Stacey King got 6 one of them, and Stacey King, what people don't know, he in '88 they went at Oklahoma. He was Big 12, the conference player of the year, over Danny Manning. They played in the title game that year. Danny Manning, the Danny and the Miracles, remember? They beat Oklahoma in that '88 national title game, which was an upset. Oklahoma had came into that tournament if I recall, as the number one team in the country. As a matter of fact, his teammate was the brother. Remember the twin brother of Horace Grant. Remember Harvey Grant, who went on to play with the Bullets, had a career with the Bullets. But yeah, Harvey, he played with alongside Horace's twin brother. And then he later played with Horace. So he played with both those guys. But Stacey King, I was a fan of his, did. Big man. I think he averaged about 25, 26 points a game that year. Oh man, he was something special. Big man Stacey King with Oklahoma. Like I said, he was conference player of the year that year over Danny Manning, who yeah, I think that year, which is crazy. I think that year, I'm thinking back, Danny Ferry of Duke was the national player of the year. Stacey King, I think first team All-American, was conference player of the year with Danny Manning. But it was Danny Manning leading his team to the national title and eventually being chosen number one in the draft. I think Stacey King went fifth or sixth that year, so he was no scrub. So he came out with a lot of credentials coming into the NBA, joining Jordan on that first Bulls championship run. He was a part of, three of those teams. So, and then he later, I guess, became the Bulls broadcaster, which is what he was doing now. He's been the Bulls. He's been on the Bulls broadcaster for the last, I think, 20 years or so. I enjoy listening to him when I watch the Bulls play on TV. A great announcer, a humble brother, very much part of those teams. So I have to say, give my condolences to the King family, the Bulls organization. It's a sad situation, but RIP to my man Stacey King, passed away yesterday at the age of 59. So condolences to the King family, Bulls organization, and all those who had the pleasure of knowing him personally, and for the fans of the Bulls who listened to him. And I think it was a good announcer, great announcer. I think so. I'm gonna miss hearing his voice on those Bulls games. I can tell you that, because he's very insightful, funny, entertaining. So it's just, that's a tough one. So condolences to Stacey King. Anyways, I'm gonna sign off now, and I wish everyone out there, love, peace, and happiness. I'm Sean Terry. This is Junkie Points. I'm here. Like, dislike, subscribe, shout out, whatever. I'm here. I love you. Peace.